This isn't your average podcast.
We threw like a spontaneous party out of nowhere. It was crazy.
This is Full Send.
Drake weekend in Toronto, that's like, imagine telling me that like 10 years ago. That's yo, you're going to rip with Drake for his album launch release party in Toronto. Like, I'm not passing that up for anything.
Join the party.
She went to Met Gala. He went to the game.
What is the Met Gala?
Ridiculous.
I think it's an excuse to dress up like an idiot and go to a ball.
The Full Send Podcast.
Oh, we're ready.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you tuning in. It is hour number 3. We're talking SEC football. Maybe the team we feel like we know least about. Without a doubt, one of the 2-3 teams that we know least about in the SEC would be the Kentucky Wildcats. It's a new head coach. The roster completely revamped. But also, Will Stein, not a guy that has spent time in this part of the country as an assistant coach. We hadn't really had a chance to get to know him prior to him moving into the SEC and becoming a head coach in the SEC. So what is he? What is he about? Who is he? John Brice recently had a chance to sit down with Will Stein, visit with him, get to know him, see what he's about. And John, how would you describe him to our listeners? How would you describe what Kentucky now has as their head football coach?
Yeah, I said that if Steve Spurrier was Generation Visor in the SEC, that Will Stein might represent Generation Zoom. That's kind of when he came up through the coaching ranks, making the transition from high school to college. He's just a really sure and mature 36-year-old coach, as crazy as that sounds. And he has immense belief in what they're going to do at Kentucky and how they're going to do it. And I'll give you a tangible example. The day I was going into Lexington to interview him, I called an NFL assistant coach that I'm tight with, and I said, I'm going to this. He goes, I love his GM. I've known him for a long time. And he said, we actually study a bunch of Stein stuff. I was like, wait, what? You at your AFC program study a bunch of Will Stein's offense? He's like, oh, yeah, every year. And we study it on both sides of the ball. I said, why is that? And he goes, well, we really like what he does in the screen game. And he goes, it's also hard to defend. And we work on it on both sides. I said, oh, okay. So I sit down and I tell Will Stein over the course of the interview, I say, hey, I'm talking to this AFC coach. He says, they really like what you do in the screen game. Why do you think you're good in the screen game? He goes, well, I think we're good in a lot of things, but here's why I think we're good in the screen game. And that to me was Will Stein in a nutshell, from spending great time with him. And Kentucky was super welcoming to have us in. But that moment resonated with me, and I knew right then. And then when I started talking to him about his play calling journey, he literally remembered the first play he ever called as offensive coordinator at Lake Travis High School in Texas 8 years later. And then he literally remembered the very first play call he had at UTSA as offensive coordinator for Jeff Traylor. And then, of course, he remembered the first play call he had at Oregon for Dylan Gabriel or Bo Nix, I forget. And not only did he remember them, he pulled his iPad out right there as we sat in his office, and he pulled up all 3 plays instantaneously, one after another, to show them to me on video.
He also has revamped the roster, and I'm interested in being able to visit with him, or research you did for this story, as to what has changed for him to be able to go grab this influx of talent. They've upgraded at multiple positions. Now, you could nitpick this and say, well, this guy was banged up here, or this guy didn't get along there, whatever it is. Overall, the roster is in better shape than I think it's been than it was with Stoops for a while. Some of that may be just philosophy on guys that you're going to go try to attack in the style of football you're going to play, but how has he been able to do that?
Yeah, he's been empowered to do that. And I did a double take when he gave me the money quote of saying, like, hey, we're not a mom and pop shop. We're Kentucky, and we're going to act like it, and we're going to try to get people on campus. And if we get big ballers on campus, we have a chance to sign them. And he said, we're going big game hunting every day. I think that was the exact quote. I don't have my story in front of me, but I know he point blank said, we're going big game hunting here at Kentucky. Kenny Minchey, the quarterback they signed from Notre Dame. As you know, I live part of the year in South Bend, and so I've seen Minchey up close. I'm a Tennessee native, so I've known him since his high school days, or known about him since his high school days, know his quarterback trainer. Kenny Minchey's not wrong when he told me that he felt like last August he had won the starting job at Notre Dame. And he told me he felt like, quite frankly, he had won it in the spring. And so I think that when we've all seen what Will Stein has helped Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore do, it's tantalizing to think about him having a quarterback like that at Kentucky, because Kentucky hasn't had that. You can maybe compare him to an Andre Woodson, but there's a lot about Kenny Minchey that I think makes him a better all-around quarterback, or has the potential to be a better all-around quarterback.
Also, John Brice joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Article up now on Will Stein in Kentucky at USA Today Sports. The traditional recruiting. I mean, he's come into Prattville, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. I mean, he's having wins in traditional SEC hotspots, and it's kind of the opposite of what Stoops did. I thought Stoops was brilliant to go say, hey, we're going to get the kids up north that aren't getting Ohio State and Michigan offers. Like, we're going to go to Youngstown and get our guys that we know, and we're going to bring them down here. And obviously it worked for him. But how is Stein and that staff having the success in the traditional SEC landscape that they're having already?
Again, a lot of it is track record. A lot of it is, it helps when you can say, hey, I coached Garrett Wilson and I helped him go play at Ohio State, and we still talk all the time. And it helps when you can say, I've got multiple quarterbacks that I've coached that are in the league, and Dante Moore has a chance to be the first pick of the draft next year and be in the league, and he might have been the first pick had he gone out this year in the league. I think all of that helps, and I think just the attitude, the fearlessness. And look, like, it's the SEC, and right now I think Will Stein is in a fortunate situation at Kentucky where there's a little bit of there's obviously change at the top, but then Big Blue basketball is not rolling. So there's a door ajar there for Will, who's already beloved in the Bluegrass State, to get some of those people to say, you know what, we don't really like what basketball is doing right now. We'll give our money to you so that we'll see if you can make Kentucky football better than what we've seen it, or finally exciting football. And I think it's all of that. But I think it starts with Will Stein and the fact that he is absolutely fearless. He is not going to blow you away with his physical stature, but his acumen is up there with anyone, and he's an elite offensive mind, and he's an absolutely fearless competitor.
What are the expectations right now for this team in and around Lexington? Because our expectation is kind of, I don't know. I got to wait and see a little bit. I'm not real sure what this is going to look like, what this is going to be. Obviously, not only first-year head coach, first-year coach in the SEC, we've seen that not go well. With all the roster turnover, it's hard to know what the continuity is going to look like. But what do you think people that are close to it or around it or observing it closer than we are actually expect this year?
Yeah, I think that in talking with some friends that are in media in Lexington, talking to some other people in UK athletics, that they don't particularly know, but there's hope. And I think that's a big difference. They hope and think they have a chance to surprise some teams. They hope and think they have a chance to play some exciting football that gets fans engaged. So I would put it that way. I haven't had anybody say like, oh, this team can win 7 games. I haven't had anyone say that, but I've had people say, I think we can surprise some people. And by we, I mean, I'm talking to Kentucky people that are saying that, and in the athletics department. And then they're saying, I think we got a chance. I think people are going to like what they see. So I think that's the best way I could characterize it, Cole.
John Brice joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at John D. Brice1. Covers college football, does it well. You've also covered some of what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the NCAA, and then just the NCAA in general. This new 5-for-5 rule, whether it is starting the clock at 19 years old or as an individual enrolls in college. What are you hearing about it? What's the feedback of some of the good, some of the bad, what we like, and maybe what could be? This is where we always mess up, like the underbelly of this. What's the part that we're not looking at that people are saying, hey, man, y'all aren't thinking about this when you're going to go make this rule?
Yeah, I've talked for a story I've already written at USA Today several weeks ago. I talked to 10 different people in college athletics, 9 of them in college football, including head coaches at the FBS and Power Conference level. and I maybe even wrote this in my story, I've never seen such almost unanimous support for anything. I'm actually in Atlanta right now at a coach's symposium and just left, sitting down with the head coach. And one of my last questions was, what do you think about 5 for 5? And he said, I absolutely love it. We need guardrails. We need this. I think it's great for high school kids. The only negative I've heard is that I had a coach tell me, like, look, I got injured during my playing career. I don't know what I would have done without a medical red shirt. And he said, I get it. Like, you play one game and you might lose a year. You're still going to have a chance for 4 other seasons. He said, I get that, but this will hurt some kids who have actual real injuries in his or her respective sports. But I'm telling you, Cole, I've never seen close to 100% support for something the way that thus far I'm seeing for 5 for 5.
Do you think that there will be issues with it holding up legally?
I think that there will, without question, be lawsuits of people who try to challenge it. And I know the parents of student athletes who are rising seniors, and one person in particular is an absolute NFL prospect. Like, I've talked to scouts who say they think he can be a 3rd or 4th round guy and that he'll play a number of years on special teams and defense in the NFL. And his dad already told me, I hope this passes so that he can come back for another year. I think it'd be great for him. And this kid unequivocally will have a chance to play pro ball. And now he goes from thinking if this passes, he's going to get that 5th year. He's going to make some more nice money in college and continue to get better for the NFL. And now the landscape is set where he would have to sue to do that. And there will absolutely be lawsuits. And I think that that's why you saw the NCAA and its member people put those statements out so quickly this week, not only from the organization, but from the student athlete committee, with the student athletes saying, no, we support this. We're in agreement. Like, we want this, but it should start anew next year. This should not be something we're trying to basically loophole this year. And frankly, that's one of the reasons why it didn't get voted on or adopted earlier this spring, because the NCAA wanted to delay it until the summer to, frankly, delay the timeline for lawsuits. And when I say the NCAA, the last thing I'll add there is, like, people use that, and the NCAA is understandably sometimes an easy punching bag. But as you well know, the NCAA is only its member institution. So when people get pissed off at the NCAA, it's because Greg Sankey and all the SEC teams aren't following the rules that they helped write, or Tony Petitti and all the Big Ten, or the Sun Belt, or whomever. So the NCAA is only its members. So its member people voted on 5 for 5. It's not the NCAA as the man behind the curtain in Oz making this happen.
John Brice joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Leave us with this. Where is the Cruz Cantwell bill right now, in your opinion?
I think it's got surprising momentum, frankly. Again, you know this well. It's hard to have bipartisan support for anything. I was just joking with this coach. Like, people talk about dumb jocks. I'm a dumb sports writer, and I'm swimming in waters all this month that I'm not accustomed to, because I've talked to Cruz's office a bunch. I've talked to Cantwell's office a bunch. They believe they can get it to the floor and that they'll be right there very, very close to the 60-vote threshold that is needed. They're still revising it. They've got to try to do a couple of things that can maybe get the SEC and the Big Ten a little bit more on board. But I'm a believer that without legislative action, then college sports, and especially college football as we know it and you played it, will no longer exist in the next few years.
Yeah, it's wild to think about it and consider maybe where we could be going and where we've already come. John, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on with us. Always a pleasure to visit with you. Let's do it again soon.
You're the best, Cole, best sideline man in the game, and one of the best radio hosts. Thanks, brother. Have a great weekend.
John Brice joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Follow him on Twitter at John D. Brice. Find his work at USA Today Sports. We asked the question a little bit earlier to kind of get you ready. 800-239-9569. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. 205-834-9450. What's the one thing that you have to do over summer break? Let us know next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and Three-Man Front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. How do I save money? Most people give you the cliche answer, stop buying avocado toast. But they're missing the point. Saving tactics usually focus on discretionary spending. If you want to actually move the needle, you have to look at your fixed costs, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment. To change these, you might have to move or sell your car, and that's why people don't do it. If you want small wins, focus on the avocado toast. But if you want meaningful change, focus on the fixed costs. Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.